Are you ready to learn how to add a slit to absolutely any skirt that has a side seam? This is such a quick, fun, and easy DIY to take your skirt from meh to I love it. This is just one DIY customization that you can do on your clothing. If you'd like to see more or possibly start sewing your own clothing, then be sure to subscribe below. Hi, my name's Abby, and I'm on a mission to help more people like you learn the art of sewing their own clothing from home. And I've got an entire series of beginner-friendly clothing projects lined up, and trust me, you aren't going to want to miss any of them. So once you hit the bell below, so you'll be notified when I drop new projects, let's see how to start this side seam slit. So this is the skirt that I want to add this slit to. Both of these projects are actually listed below in the description. So if you'd like to make either this top or this skirt, check there. But there are typically two main reasons why you would want to add a slit to your skirt. The first one is just that you think it looks better. Like, this is a huge rectangle of purple right now. I think a slit will make this look really cute. But the second reason that you may want to add or may need to add a slit to your skirt is for mobility. So depending on how wide your skirt is or how long it is, you may find that when you're walking that you can't quite move your legs far enough. I find that I'm walking quickly. This is quite restrictive. So a side slit will also help you with mobility issues if your skirt's not quite wide enough. Now I know the two main reasons why you may want to put a slit in a skirt. I'd love to know what's motivating you to do this. Is it because you want more mobility, or is it because you just think it will look cute? Let me know in the comments below. Then let's jump into actually making this happen. We start by taking the skirt that we want to add the slit to, and we find the side seam. So here's mine, and then we're going to go down to the hem, and we actually need to seam rip out the hem next to the side seam. So to do this, you're just going to take your seam ripper and put it under one of the little threads, pull up, and it will break. And then you're just going to continue this, putting the needle threader under, pulling it up, and working your way along until you've seam ripped about 3 inches on either side of the seam allowance. Then once you seam ripped the hem, what we're going to do is unroll it and then press this side seam open. Trust me, this will make future steps much easier. For the side seam, it's easier if you grab each side of the seam and gently pull it apart. And you'll actually be able to see the stitches between the pieces of fabric. You're going to put your needle threader carefully under one of those threads and back up, so that way you can cut just that one single thread. And once you do this, the whole thing is going to open a little bit and you'll be able to see more threads. Then you're just going to carefully put your needle threader behind each of these threads and break them until the slit is as high as you think that you want it. Don't worry, we're going to try this on and make sure, but just seam rip up until you think your slit is the size that you want. Remove any excess threads that are still hanging around, and then we can try this on. Now, depending on where you want this slit, this could be tall enough. For a side, if you're gonna put the slit on the side, this is a great height. And also if you're gonna make it a back vent, you're gonna put it in the backs for just for mobility, this height is really good. But I want a dramatic high slit on the front, so I'm gonna keep going. The height of this is up to you. So just seam rip until you like the height of the slit. Once you're done seam ripping, we need to lock the highest point so that way it doesn't continue to unravel. To do this, we're going to turn the skirt inside out and find where that side seam stitch ends. Then we're going to just sew back and forth a couple of times right there on top of the end of that stitch line. And now the top of your slit should look like this. Now we're gonna try this on again, and oh my gosh, it's so cute. I'm so excited. I hope you're excited. So the next thing is we have another two options. So you can either sew the slit straight down as it is, and that will make this look pretty much closed when you're wearing it, or you can make this angled. So to angle it, all you need to do is fold this fabric back as much as you want. This is just personal preference. I'm doing about 1.5 inches, and then sort of pin it up. And this will make it so that even when you're standing still, you'll be able to see a little bit of a triangular slit like this. Okay, so this is just preferential, it's up to you. So decide what you want, then let's see what the next step is. So we're gonna turn the skirt inside out, and then we're gonna work on the straight side of the slit first. Now, if your skirt is unraveling, like I'm showing you here on my hem, then what you're gonna need to do is fold the edge of your side seam, the very edge, fold it down so it meets that crease that we ironed earlier. Okay, so tuck it right down into that crease and then fold it over a second time. This will tuck the raw edge into the seam that we're going to sew. That way it doesn't unravel in the future. Now, if your side seam is not unraveling, which if you followed my skirt tutorial, I'll link it up here, it won't be unraveling, then you don't need to do this double fold. You can just leave this ironed, how we ironed it earlier, and clip it in place. Now let's talk about the angled slit side. So here you can see our original iron side seam, and we want to create a straight line from there down to the hem of our skirt that we clipped in place. So you can move your clips, move your pens until you get a nice straight looking line. And once you have that line nice and straight, then we're going to iron it in place. Now you may find that depending on how much you angled this out, you need to seam rip a little bit more of the hem. We want this to lay nice and flat. So if you need to do that, seam rip a little bit more of the hem, then iron this down. Now that it's ironed, we have this large triangle of fabric. We want to make this a little bit smaller. So we're going to fold the edge of this down into that edge that we just ironed. Okay, this will crease it down, make it a little bit smaller, and make this edge nice and firm on the skirt. So we're just going to fold it down to that ironed crease, fold it down, and pin it in place. Then we'll just continue that all the way up to the top of the slit. Now that both sides are clipped, we can start sewing. We'll start on the hem on one side of the slit, and we'll just sew up using typically a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And you'll sew all the way up to the top of the slit. And once you get there, you're gonna sew just a couple of stitches past the top of the slit like this. Then you're going to put your needle down into the fabric. If you need to, use the hand wheel on the side. Then you're going to raise the presser foot and turn your skirt 90 degrees. So that way it's facing like this. Then if you need to use a hand wheel again, just stitch until you make it to the other side of the seam. Then you'll want to check if you're far enough. So to do this, make sure your needle is down in the fabric again, lift your presser foot and turn it, and see if you still have that 1/4 inch seam allowance. If you don't, then just put your fabric back where it was, stitch one more time, and check it again. So now everything looks lined up. So now I can just continue sewing down to the hem. That's really the special trick of this side seam slit. Look how nice this looks now. So nice, so professional. And now the last step is to hem the bottom edges again. So we'll start on one side and we're just gonna fold it up once, fold it up twice, make sure it lines up with the original hem, clip it in place, repeat this on the other side, and then sew this all in place. Ta-da! That's how quick and easy this customization is. And now you have a beautiful skirt. Do you love it? Let me know in the comments if you liked this video, how your skirt turned out, and what else you would like to learn how to upgrade or possibly make from scratch. I'm always looking for ideas from you on what video I should make next. And as always, if you're brand new to sewing and you're still feeling a little intimidated by your sewing machine, then be sure to grab my free 5 steps to sewing confidence in the comments below or in the description below. It's everything you need to know from unboxing your sewing machine to sewing straight stitches to setting perfect tension. All yours, completely free. I just want to help more people get into this hobby and be excited and have fun with it. And now that you've finished your skirt, why not check out one of these fun sewing projects to jump into next? Whatever you decide, happy sewing!